What is going on, everyone? The NFL has made some rule changes here, and this one's a little interesting to me, and to be honest with you, I just don't like it. I don't like it at all. And what the NFL has stated is all offensive and defensive PI calls, as well as non-calls, can now be challenged. And it sounds great on paper when you take a look at what happened with the Saints-Rams game in the NFC Championship. A missed call like that should never, ever, ever, ever happen. It should never happen. And you're right, this will help that type of play. But what about all the others? What about all the other ticky-tack, little, super slow-mo, tiny, little forearm extension and super slow-mo that all these coaches are going to throw the flag on because it could be a 50-yard swing or a 40-yard swing? We all talk about it. Pass interference calls are the biggest plays in football when it comes to penalties, and it can completely change the outcome on where the football is, and this is just going to cause so many more problems than it seems. Think about it. There is no flag on the play. Just think about a one-on-one defender and a wide receiver and a DB doing a little bit of some hand check, but no call was called on the field. There was no flag. You challenge. You're having these people in super slow-mo look for hand checks and forearm extensions, and it's going to be a nightmare. It's literally going to be horrendous call after horrendous call after horrendous call when it comes down to having to look at this type of stuff in slow-mo. And keep in mind all the replays that are going to happen with it. It sounds great when you take a look at it in the aspect of, oh, they should have got that call right in the NFC Championship game. And to that extent, yes, but it's going to influence the game in such a totally different way other than that one call. That one call is so rare. That blatant call, to that extent, can happen one time in a season. Think about all the hand checking, all the one-on-one matchups between DBs and wide receivers. It's going to be a literal joke this year if they think that those plays are not going to be challenged. They are going to be challenged consistently. It's going to be a nightmare. Way more reviews in the booth. This type of stuff literally happens every play. Every single play, you can take a look and zoom in on a DB and a wide receiver and say, oh, there was contact there. Someone initiated contact there. It's part of it. It's part of it. It's unbelievable how brutal this is going to be. What's the fix, you ask? Maybe get some refs that are better. Maybe you get some refs that are capable of making better plays and making right calls. I don't want to hear that, well, it's a tough game. They play at a fast speed and you have these guys trying. No. Have a system where these refs, it's their full-time gig, they study film, they do this is their full-time 40 hours a week and plus studying how they can manage the football game better and make proper calls. Do that. Make that a thing. Put these refs through legitimate, die-hard training so they make better calls. Because this isn't it. This isn't it. And I know the coaches had the meetings out in Arizona, and people had to sign off on this, and they had to get the right amount of votes, and I get all that, which means people in the league think it was the right move. But just wait. Just wait for these calls to happen this season. It really is unbelievable, and I don't think people understand to the level that it's going to be. Little plays all throughout the game, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they won't challenge all these little minor plays, and they're going to save it for the big one. But think about that 50-yard bomb where there was no flag on the play, and then they're going to obviously challenge. It is going to be a nightmare, a stupid decision once again by the National Football League, and they just can't get anything right. But this is the thing, they're king, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to bitch about it, and I'm going to complain about it, but it's football, it's the NFL, I love the Eagles, I'm going to watch anyway. So they have us by the balls, let's be real, they have us by the balls. No matter what they do, I'm still going to sit there, and my eyes are going to be glued to the TV when I got Red Zone on one, the Eagles on the other, and it's Sunday, I got my fantasy team. I'm going to be all in, 100%. But I know this is going to be so brutal. They're going to get these calls wrong. They're going to get them right sometimes. They're going to get them so terrible in other times. It's going to be just as bad as when the Eagles had that fumble against the Dallas Cowboys, and there were 4 Eagles on it, and they said there wasn't enough evidence. They couldn't tell who came up on top. It's going to be so much like that. The one play that sticks out to me the most is that Dallas Goedert offensive pass interference call that happened. It's where we took it to the house. I think that was against the Cowboys. What a joke. And that's replaying in my head right now and throwing the flag and say, it's going to be a nightmare. It's as simple as that. I don't know how much more I can really go into depth about this thing. It's crazy. You've got to slow down the game more. Think about all those slow-mos that you see and the commentators are watching it and they say, that could have went either way. Well, what's going to happen then? Where's the call going to go that time? Because there's multiple plays where the wide receiver's going, it hits his fingertips. There was a little bit of contact before, but it was bang, bang, and Tony Romo's on the booth, and he goes, that could have went either way there. Well, what's going to happen then? It's going to be an outrage. So, I'm curious what you guys think down below on this one. Do you think it's a good idea? Because, like I said, you hear it to your naked ears, if you will. You sit there and say, well, that makes sense. Well, plays like the Rams-Saints, that'll be overturned. Bing, bang, boom, you get the right call. But I'm thinking of all those minor plays. Or not even to the extent of minor, because there are going to be some minor ones, but that 50-yard pass interference play in the middle of the game that is bang, bang, both guys with contact. What's going to happen? Those are the plays I'm thinking of. Not so much the extreme of the NFC Championship game, but the other stuff. Once again, I think the NFL just butchered this again. What's new? But like I said, it comes down to the people in the league make the decisions. And this is only until 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, everything obviously gets reviewed through the league. So they have the opportunity to challenge all offensive and all defensive pass interference, whether it was called, whether there was a flag on the play, or whether there wasn't a flag on the play throughout the entire game until the last 2 minutes. The answer to me is simple. Get people who are capable of making the right plays. Of course, it's sports. There's going to be a time where a referee makes a mistake. We see it all the time in baseball, a bang-bang play, they make a mistake. I mean, it's going to happen, and that's fine. That's sports. It's part of it. There's referees. You got to live with what happens with the refs. I get all that. There's going to be mistakes. No one's perfect. But we can all agree that the refereeing we've seen throughout the NFL has been like blind people are making calls. So they can do a better job of getting people capable of being good at their job. These refs aren't good at their job. And this dates back from however many years ago where it was just completely pathetic. So in my opinion, it's be more focused on getting people who can do it rather than have to rely on instant replay on everything. And in theory, once again, it sounds great. If you can get the call right, get the call right. Why would we have human error if we can just go to the replay booth and get it all right? And in theory, that sounds right. But it's not right. It's not right. Slow down the game more. Ticky-tack calls. It's game speed slowed down to the tiniest degree, the super slow-mo degree, where everything's going to look way more brutal, and a tiny little forearm like this is going to make it look like it's this, and I'm just getting sick to my stomach thinking about it. I really am. Sick to my stomach just thinking about it. So, in the comment section, I want to know how you feel about this. Everything on Twitter, you know, I see a bunch of people obviously putting out their opinion on this and what they think. It seems like it's getting more backlash than it is positive. People are making fun of Sean Payton because Sean Payton and New Orleans are still crying about the call. And it's funny how instantly everything seemed to change as soon as Sean Payton and them cried about it. But when it's on the biggest stage ever in the NFC Championship game, everyone's eyes on it. Then they tried to put out a press release about the Super Bowl and Brandon Cook's pass should have been on the one in the Super Bowl. It's crazy how much of a joke this league is. But at the end of the day, they're the king. At the end of the day, we're all watching. And I said it here myself. They can do whatever the hell they want. And guess what? I'm watching. I'm not watching the Eagles. That's for damn sure. So I can complain all I want about how garbage the league is. They got my 10 hours a day on Sunday. And that's a damn truth. And they know it. And they know it. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you next time.